Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Java with Jen and Jess. I am Jennifer Fernandez, Realtor and Branch Manager for the Property Pros Tampa office.
And I am Jessica Sherrill, Senior Loan Officer with Freedom Mortgage, the home team of Freedom Mortgage. And we are so excited to have you with the Java with Jen and Jess show, where we bring the community together and keep it real in real estate. So what do we have today, Jen?
Well, as we all know, especially as parents, back to school has been a hot and touchy topic given the current state of the world. Mm-hmm. So today we have a couple amazing teachers with us that are going to be talking about the changes we're going to see and what safety measures we can expect and how they are adjusting as teachers. But first, as you guys all know, community is very important to us. So we always like to spotlight a small business. So I'd like to go ahead and bring on this week's Small Business Spotlight. We have Kelly McCullough with Untamed Custom Gifts. Hi, Kelly.
Hey, Kelly.
Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for being here. So Kelly, go ahead and give us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I make handcrafted gifts. Most of my items actually are customized, personalized, out of wood, sometimes acrylic, just depending on what the client at that particular time needs. They could be engraved. They could just be anything that you can imagine I can bring to life is what I used to kind of say.
Amazing.
Do you have some samples of your work?
Yeah, I do have a couple samples. Like I said, everything's usually customized, but I've not sure if you guys have a good angle there, but anything from realtor props to home signs, just kind of fun things. I'm already working on a little bit of Christmas with some personalized ornaments.
Love it. I love that key. Can we see the key?
Yes. This is the realtor key. Sorry, I'm trying to see
what
the best angle is, but just a blank one to show people, where you can start, and those are fun for realtor props at closing.
How long have you been doing this?
7 years and counting. And I just love it. I have a passion for creating new things. I'm constantly reinventing the wheel, as I like to call it. Nothing from last week is usually selling the next week, so I'm just constantly making new and exciting things.
Awesome. What is your favorite piece to make?
Well, I don't have it with me currently because, everything is just being shipped out every day. But I did recently make a really beautiful metallic mermaid, which you can find on my Facebook page. She's beautiful. She's very long and metallic and shimmery. And excuse me, the lawn guys are right by the window. I don't know if you can hear that. But she's very fun. So if you want to check out on my Facebook page, she is available for sale.
Awesome, awesome. So where can people go to order these awesome gifts?
There is a lot of Facebook connection because everything is customized, so people like to communicate that with me, which my Facebook page is Untamed Custom Gifts. My website is untamedgifts.com. If they want to place a general order for an item, where there is some customizations available on the website as well.
Well, fantastic. And I know that Jen and I take it very as our closing. So we want to make sure our that extra personal touch at the closing table. So we look forward to getting you some more business.
Yes, definitely. That would be great.
I can personally vouch for Kelly. She did do an amazing job on a sign that she made for me with my logo on it. It was beautiful. So if anybody's looking for closing gifts or a gift for a special friend or a loved one or a Christmas gift and you want that custom touch, please be sure to reach out to Kelly.
Thank you, ladies. I really appreciate you having me on today.
Thanks, Kelly.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, awesome. Are we ready to bring on our amazing teachers? And we are so thankful that you ladies are taking the time to be with us today. So welcome to Java with Jen and Jess.
Thank you.
Hi. So thankful to you. I like to say thank you for serving, because that's exactly what you guys do every single day. So we really appreciate you. To start off the show, we want to get to know you guys a little bit. Melissa, we'll start with you. So tell me about how long you've been teaching, what grade you teach, and why you love what you do.
I teach third grade. I've been teaching, I'm going into my 10th year. I go for the kids. I love the excitement, the first day of school when they all come and they're excited to meet their teachers. And, you know, I teach math and science, so I have a way with numbers and they love it. I have former students that always come back and say, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know what they were. So.
And what about you guys, Ariana?
I have been teaching since 2011, so about 9 years now. I started teaching because my niece and my nephew had been born, and I was working at like the YMCA at the time, and I was like, oh, this might be, I think that it would be a great idea to have somebody who has passion, who wants to teach kids. And after my niece and my nephew were born, I was like, I just want to work with kids. I know that. And I teach kindergarten. So getting to see those little faces light up and they're so happy to see you and they're just so innocent and sweet, that's it for me. And just seeing how much they grow. I love to see the growth every single year that they attain.
Awesome. And you, Kelly?
This will be my 9th year as well. Ever since 5th grade, I wanted to be a 5th grade teacher. I actually even got to go to 5th grade. First opportunity came up to do kindergarten and I fell in love with it. Kinder first and second is what I've taught in California, in Colorado, and recently came back to Florida 2 years ago. So kind of over the board with teaching in states, so different states. But definitely
nice.
Children are just a passion for it.
Well, we greatly appreciate what you guys do, that's for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and before we get into what we can expect for this school year, kind of talk about a little bit about last school year. How, you know, this all just kind of was thrown upon us. Like one morning we woke up and it's like, what happened to 2020? But how would you say last year overall affected the students, and how do you feel distance learning was for them? Melissa, we can start with you.
Okay, I taught, this was my first year as 3rd grade. I taught 8 years in the 4th grade. I had the gifted class this year, and I had about 99% of my students online every day. They did really well, and I had a lot of parent help. The parents were there to offer support, make sure the kids were doing what they were supposed to, logging on during the times. They did a lot. I overall didn't have any issues with them. Maybe 1 or 2 who didn't show up, but after you contacted the parents, they were on it and it was okay. I've heard a lot of horror stories, but mine wasn't bad.
Okay.
Good. Ariana, Kelly?
With me, it's a little different. I work at a Title I school, and with kindergarten, I think it might be a little different because they are so young and they aren't as independent as a 3rd grader would be. So they were very reliant on their parents. And a lot of their parents at a Title I school weren't able to be at home. They had to go to work. So they were with grandparents, and I was fielding calls from grandparents trying to figure out how to help them get online because they weren't as tech savvy. They told me that up front. I haven't used a computer. I don't know what I'm doing. So for them to get on, I would say I have about 50% of students who were truly doing the work at the time that I was available. And then after hours, I would be getting things at midnight, because the parents had gotten home and that was the only time they could work with their child. And it was a hot mess, the whole thing. I think we all tried our hardest, but it is what it is.
What about you, Kelly?
I'm pretty much in the same situation. I was lucky. I actually looped with my kindergartners to 1st grade. So I already had a great relationship with all my parents and my students. I really even knew them more having to teach them for that 2nd year. But it came down with the technology and the availability that we had. A lot of my conversations with parents and seeing students work was on our Remind app that I use on my phone. Work was always submitted late, which was fine because I just wanted to make sure that they were doing it. But it was a struggle. It was a struggle because even at 1st grade, they weren't that independent, and then having to differentiate, well, it's not enough, it's way too much. And so it was a struggle. And I honestly, I had some that didn't do anything.
Wow.
And then also
So-
considering it's developmentally appropriate for those kids in that time frame. Is it appropriate for a kindergartner to sit on a computer for 5 hours? No, it's really not. Like maybe in 30 minutes to an hour at the most, and that's covering all subjects. So
Yeah, the attention span is probably just not there. I know I have two, and my youngest he's 15, and he's not the biggest self-starters at all. So I was really appreciative of his teachers being patient and instead of just giving him that failing grade, hey, he hasn't done this, hey, we're still missing this, and really working with them. And I know that probably was hard. It was his extra work on you guys, but it definitely was appreciated.
And I had my parents have my nephews, and he's 5th grade. So I felt like I passed the 5th grade again because my nephew, being 10, 11, still couldn't even do that independently and work the computer the way he could, while my toddler is running around. So trying to manage my class, help my nephew with my toddler was very overwhelming.
So how did, this has been definitely a struggle for the teachers, parents, how has it directly affected like your work-life balance or, your stress, trying to make sure that you are there for all of your parents and students? Tell us how that has affected you directly, Melissa.
I actually have I had an 8th grader this year at home with us, the baby of the family, and she was very, very, it affected her. She missed all the 8th grade activities. She's going into 9th grade, so she didn't get that, the trip that they wanted. My parents live in Orlando, and my mom had a heart attack 2 years ago. So it's very difficult to try and, go over there and distance yourself. And I had to start ordering groceries for them and have them delivered. I have an older son who would come and visit. He would have to leave stuff at the door. Then the parents, I felt bad for some of the parents who had to work in my class. You know what? I'm always available. Call me whenever. I don't, whatever you need, I'll do for your kids. I'll deliver, I'll drop, I'll do whatever I have to do. But the balance of life, my husband also, he works for Board and Dairy. So he delivers milk to all the Walgreens and things. So he would have to not come in the house because I was afraid that he would bring something from a grocery store or from a Walgreens or from somebody at Wawa he would come in contact with.
Yeah. So this we kind of dabbled a little bit on this already in these conversations here, but I read that 2/3 of employed parents in Florida said school closures affected their ability to perform their jobs. And in that a lot of parents just did not participate due to that, because obviously they need the livelihood. So what effects did that have on students' grades? Was there an effect?
I would say yes. Lady?
I'm going to say it did. Honestly, with the work, we don't know who actually was doing the work per se. I'm gonna throw it out there. But and kind of being told grades are going to reflect from that 3rd quarter because of that. Because technically, with the e-learning, we physically did not watch the child fill that work out or do that work. And some had help with their parents. And I get it. I had a parent that was very sad because grade didn't change, knowing that parent didn't work very hard with that student. But using my judgment and my knowledge of the student too, I couldn't move grades honestly from 3rd to 4th up or down. A lot of it with the e-learning was kind of a participation grade.
Exactly. I agree with you on that.
Oh, yeah.
What I know a child does in the classroom and what he did on e-learning, when you go from a child who barely can answer a question to getting 100% every time, it's not the same. my heart wouldn't let me do. I agree with you, Kelly. My heart was not there. I couldn't, I'm sorry. Participation, yes, and I put it in the grade book as a participation grade. You know, I have a hard time this year because the third grade was the year that the kids would be back because of their not being able to pass the FSA. I would have to say that there are 20 kids that I know personally in our third grade that would have not gone to the fourth grade. And I feel for them because they're going to struggle.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that I guess that's a really big takeaway from grades, because we all know it's holistic. We look at the whole child, and we're trying to help them as much as we can while we have them. Even through e-learning, we were trying to like reach through the computers and get their attention and get them to do all of this stuff. But like they said, who's actually doing the work? That was the biggest question. And we all know that they're going to have a lot, pretty much all of them, unless they had a teacher for a parent who was in that room with them and was able to actually instruct them, they're all going to have fallen behind. So the grades were kind of a moot point. Everyone needed that direct instruction from teachers, and they weren't getting it. So the grades were just
even
a gimme.
Being a teacher and trying to help my fifth grade nephew with his work, fifth grade, I'm glad I teach young ones.
Yeah, the same thing with my eighth grader. You know, they're always on their phones or things, but when it came to doing the work, it was the teachers would email me, she's missing 4 or 5 assignments, and I'd have to get on her and sit with her for 2 to 4 hours a day and say, listen, you need to get this work done. And she wouldn't have got it done had I not stood over her.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, we as parents, I usually tell my kids in the classroom, listen, when I go home, I can't go there and give my child the answer. I have to block myself out and let them know they have to do the work. I'm not here for an answer. I'm here to teach you.
Yeah, the accountability factor that is involved right now, it's huge. You know, teachers are kind of like the secondary parent, you know, when it's normal, that is, right?
Right.
I mean, honestly, you almost are the primary parent in a lot of cases, right? So I can see where that would be like a super struggle. So for kids that are, let's talk about the safety of all this. So for kids that are going back to school, what kind of safety measures have both of these counties that you guys teach in have taken to put in place for the students returning back to school? Like what are they dictating or, you know, making as far as measures?
Ladies, Ariana and Kelly, I don't know about you guys. We haven't been given too much guidance on what's, Kelly, just by your face, I can tell, too much guidance on what's going on. I can tell you that through my connections at the school that Osceola County has gone in and placed the desks 3 feet from center apart in all the classrooms. Like the primary is 18 in a class, and third, fourth, and fifth is 21 in a class. My only concern with that is if we're doing distance learning and we're doing face-to-face, are they going to fill the rooms with 21 kids? And then let's just say the last 5 teachers get distance learning, which scares me, because if we're only supposed to have 10 kids in a class and we have 21, that's, to me, is a safety issue. I have a pre-existing condition, and my first thought was to go back in that classroom. And my husband's like, if you get sick, what's going to happen? And I had to think about it, and I'm like, you're right. But that scares me. Any teacher, any child in that condition worries me. 21 with only 3 feet from center to center, and not being able to get out of the desk. You have to have your water bottle, everything. It's like you're in a bubble. You can't even move. And Osceola County did say that they were opening the cafeterias. So again, that is, how do you put 600 kids in a cafeteria?
It's hard. It's hard. What about you guys, Ariana, Kelly?
In Hillsborough County, they have said that they are going to have those sanitizing foggers to help clean the rooms. They've also mentioned that each teacher is going to get like a box of masks, I think, like wipes and gloves, so that you can have it in your classroom. They have, I think, a 3-strike policy with masks, where they've mandated that students should wear masks. If they come once without it, we'll give it to them. Second, there's a phone call home. Third time, the parents will be advised on how to do virtual and e-learning, and they might
Ooh, I like that.
which is nice. It is, but then they also have that they're not going to change busing. Busing is going to stay the same, and I don't know if how Osceola County is, but sometimes buses have to do double runs because a
Yes,
bus breaks
we do.
down or a bus driver is sick, so they have to call all of those children from 2 different buses onto one bus to get them where they need to go, because they don't have time to go drop them off, come back, pick them up, and go
They're
drop them off.
jam-packed through there, too.
Yeah, so
I work the bus in the afternoon. So.
they've already said we would have to spend millions of dollars and hire a new bus driver, so we're just going to have to go as normal with our buses. So that's another issue of safety. And lunches, same with
And
us. They said it's
dismissal.
going to run the same way.
Oh, we have at least breakfast and lunch in our classroom.
Yeah, well, they've
but-
said breakfast, which is against our contract because I'm part of our union, and you're not served. You have 30 minutes in the morning that you're supposed to have. 15 minutes is of your own planning time. 15 minutes is student watching students. So for them to say, oh, we're just going to send them to the classroom, they're violating my contract now. And if they say, oh, we're going to do lunch in the classroom, again, they're violating my contract, because that is the one, get 2 breaks a day, 30 minutes and 30 minutes, 30 minutes to plan, 30 minutes to eat. Do I ever really use that 30 minutes to eat? No. Let's be honest. We're out running around. We've got a granola bar. We're making
We
copies.
got tiny ones in the lunchroom going nuts.
Yeah.
So
So for them to say, hey, we might send them to the classroom. We're not sure yet, but then we might put them in the cafeteria. Either way, it's a safety issue, because you're in the room now. Everybody's got their masks off. Now everybody's chomping, and and we're all in this confined space. Or you stick them in the lunchroom, and now you have 200, 300 kids eating lunch. So those are the safety concerns that I have.
And I know us personally and another good friend of ours, we're even buying our own things. Like we bought face shields to help too.
Yep.
I'm thinking about making like trifold, not plexiglass is expensive, and I think it's hard to find now, but like just stuff we
Some
see
type of
online,
barrier.
like a barrier too, like a trifold with a clear shower curtain to help. Buying like nurses scrubs to wear, because all
that's
that
a
stuff
great
to go
idea.
home and disinfect and just drench in warm water or hot water to get stuff clean. I mean, that was almost $60 in 4 shirts that I bought just
Right.
to.
Right.
I don't think that's
Because I'm
to-
gonna bring my good clothes to work and I'm gonna wash them every day that I have a dry cleaning bill. And Osceola County, you all are lucky. Osceola County is not providing us any sanitization, anything. They will do the rooms in the afternoons, but we have to provide our own tissues, our own wipes, our own everything.
Well,
I
So-
mean, let's say it depends on how much money they have. They provided it for us for the beginning of the year, but we'll see if this is a constant thing that they're putting into our classrooms.
They got millions of dollars. They need to start using it.
The
it's
right
funny,
way.
it's funny you bring up the money aspect, because my son, not to throw him under the bus, but my son, when he saw that hand sanitizing stations was going to be placed throughout the school, his first response to me was, they can't even keep up with the toilet paper in the bathrooms. How are they going to keep up with hand sanitizer?
That he's totally right. I can't tell you how many times my room has not been clean, that I've had to clean it. And as it is, we have enough problems trying to find a regular Lysol wipes or cleaning solutions here. Since March, they've been out.
Oh yeah, and it's not even like the same thing with the toilet paper. I think the last 3 years that I've been like at a school, they run out of paper towels and soap by March, April, and they're like, oh, well, just use some of the funds that you have to buy it, or get someone to donate it, or use it as scarcely as you can. 1 piece of paper towel per student. That's all they can use, and 1 thump of soap. I mean, how's sanitizer going to work? You're right. That makes no sense.
They're going to run out of it in the first 9 weeks and say, oh, well, we're sorry.
Well, yeah, now I want to be extra cautious and extra clean.
It's
Kind of
scary.
sticking with the safety theme here, do you guys think temperatures are going to be taken at the schools? And there's kind of a 2-part question that I have. How do you think the common cold is now going to be addressed? Obviously you guys are in the elementary schools, kids come in with runny noses all the time, a little cough here and there, and it's just normal. How is that now you know, when you see a kid in your class and he sneezes, does he instantly get sent to the nurse's office and quarantine? Do you think kids are going to be sent home more frequently?
I think so.
Yeah.
So, and I think, and the temperature stuff, I think that's going to be passed on to us as a teacher.
Now,
We'll be given our own hand.
our superintendent has said like that the students will not be temperature checked, that the teachers will be temperature checked daily to see how they're doing, because we are the highest spreaders of COVID. So yeah, I know. I'm telling you. So apparently we will get checked. The only way a student will get checked is if they're sent to the nurse. And the concern that I had is if they're showing symptoms, if they have a fever, they don't have to be quarantined for 2 weeks. They have a 72 hours and then they can come back to school if they're feeling better. And they don't have to come back with a COVID negative test that they don't have COVID. They can just come back to school.
And that bothers me. Because we were told in Osceola County that they will do temperature checks. I have my own thermometer. My sister is the head of in San Francisco. She's the head of Lucille Packard Children's Hospital. She runs the child life and the transportation, and she's the head of the emergency their triage spot for where all of their COVID patients are coming. And just temperature checking doesn't mean I can be asymptomatic and not have it and have it without a temperature. I know when I get sick, there's a 99.9% chance I do not have a temperature. But I get sick. I'm sure some of us, sometimes my kids get temperature and that's it. But I don't think that taking a temperature is going to, yes, we can do it and we can try to avoid it, but Jen, you can come to school and I can take your temperature and you could have nothing but still be asymptomatic. And that's another problem. And you're right, Ariana, what happens if they do get sick? And I think they should have to come back just like with a COVID test. If we're going out, let's do it. If we all have to do it, or test them at school. They've got the money. Bring those tests in here. We have rapid tests at the emergency room at healthcare at Advent Health. They'll do rapid tests and you'll have results in 15 minutes. Buy some tests. Let's do it. Let's tell the parents.
So you guys mentioned, the lunchtime briefly, makes sense, right? You go to school, you have the mask on all day, and then there's lunchtime. So what exactly have they said, or what do you have to expect of what this is going to look like?
I know in Hillsborough County, they said that students, usually they have to type in their lunch number so that they know which account it is. They've said, no, we're not going to do that anymore. They're going to have to, I guess, verbally tell them their lunch number, which kindergartners don't even know their name.
They remember the buttons. Yeah.
They remember the buttons. Like they can't write their name. You ask, well, what's your name, sweetie? And they're like, my name Boo Boo. And I'm like, no, I need your actual name, not your nickname. So like it's for them to remember that 9 digit lunch number the first week of school is going to be crazy. I mean, we usually have it on them, but that's another thing that's got to be touched by them and only them and kept clean. So we've been told that there will be plexiglass and they will point to what they want for lunch, and then they have to go through the line and they're going to figure out, still have no plan. School starts in less than, ours has been moved to August 24th. We still don't know what that looks like, but they still have no idea how lunch is going to work and how it's going to work safely. They just said they know how they're going to get through the line. That's about it. That's all we've heard. We don't know where they're going to sit, if they're going to stagger lunches, if they're going to have them sit every other chair, how many classes are going to be in the lunchroom. Right. It's still all up in the air for Hillsborough.
And my son's about to be 4. He's starting VPK, and I already need to start programming his lunch number in his head. Thank goodness he knows his first and last name, but but
still, the kids don't even know letters and numbers when they come to school. How are we supposed to give them I don't know. Osceola County, the only thing they said was that they're going to, all the lunch tables are going to face the same direction, and they were going to sit the kids at the tables. To me, again, if you've ever been in a lunchroom with kids,
Yeah.
even if you have staggered lunches, it's still not going to, there's still more than 50 kids in a lunchroom at a time.
Because lunch is going to turn, it's already a 2-hour block in order to stagger lunches and to seat
As it
people
is.
appropriately. It turns into what, 4 hours now for the whole school? And I can't even imagine high school, how that would work. That's insane.
Right.
Well, I do have a question for you ladies as we're talking about staggered lunches. Have they said anything to you guys about how many kids have done I'm probably, Jen and Jess, I'm probably jumping the gun. How many kids are coming back to school?
That was going to kind of roll into my next question a little bit.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah. So before we get into that, let's talk about, because I know in Hillsborough County, parents had choices. So I don't know if you guys in Osceola, parents were given choices on what they wanted their kids to do. So Ariana, Kelly, if you guys can kind of talk about those 3 choices and kind of the difference between them.
Okay, so we had brick and mortar, which is where a student will come into the classroom. They will be with the teacher face to face and getting instruction. There's also the e-learning model where your student will have a schedule. They will be working with their actual site. So if they go to school A, they can work with the teacher from school A and stay at that school technically enrolled. Then there is Hillsborough Virtual, and Hillsborough Virtual is its own school. It's like, it's school B, and if they want to go with that, then they've gone with that. It's more of a self-paced model instead of e-learning, which is the teacher's structure and schedule and staying on that schedule. That is more of a homeschool, more fosters with homeschooling vibe for Hillsborough Virtual. But then there was also Florida Virtual, which is completely different from Hillsborough County.
And then they wanted to push, if you were doing the virtual, to do the Hillsborough Virtual for funding for Hillsborough County.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So the Hillsborough Virtual, so that would be the actual teachers that are teaching in class and virtually as well.
That would,
or
Hillsborough Virtual is like, those are different teachers. Those
Separate entities.
Yeah.
So you guys are not going to be responsible for teaching in class or brick and mortar and virtually. It's just going to be in class.
The e-learning possibly, because last night there was a emergency board meeting, I think, or a regular, I don't know what it was, but they had also mentioned that some teachers, depending on how many kids that we have virtually, might have to do like where they're sitting down and they still have their lesson broadcast. I know personally a friend who teaches at a private Catholic school, that's what they have to do. If they have kids in the classroom, they're going to be teaching, but she's also going to be recorded at the same time or streaming for the kids who are at home if they chose to do it from home, which is insane. Yeah.
Do you guys have a fun choice?
For Osceola County, they had face-to-face. Second choice was distance learning, meaning that a teacher from your home school would teach you online. I heard that that the distance learning was going to be bell to bell, but not confirmed. They had Osceola Virtual School, which still got funding so that they didn't lose their money. And then the fourth choice was Florida Virtual School, where you would have to completely remove your child from, withdraw them and enroll them into Florida Virtual School. We did have choices. I've gone back and forth with my daughter. Is anyone, I do like I wish I could do digital and have some kids. If I could have if I had 14 kids in my class and 7 of them are online, I think I'd get more out of that than just sitting in front of a computer all day.
Yeah, like a hybrid situation, right?
Yeah, almost like a hybrid. Yeah, for the kids it would be hybrid.
For the kids,
These are still your classmates. Only 5 of them work from home, and the rest of you are in here. We can all collaborate and come up with some great ideas.
So, talking about distance learning and having kids like in isolation, we all know that different personality types learn differently, right? It has been stated by, renowned psychologists, self-isolation has deep psychological impacts, so tell Do you agree? Have you seen any examples? What do you think about that?
I'll tell you firsthand that my daughter has had many psychological issues with not being with her friends. Keeping her home has kept her distant and in her room, and we've had to pull her out just to take her outside for walks. I do see a lot of it, but then you have the opposite side, the kids who are introverted, who love the computer, who could spend all day on it.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen both sides of it.
You guys, Ariana, Kelly?
I would, I mean, I would agree. I mean, every child is different. I mean, I feel guilty that I send my son to daycare, but he really likes that interaction with his friends. And I had students that really took to the computer with e-learning, and then the ones that really struggled and really just missed their teacher, missed their friends, just missed their daily routine. And when you obstruct that routine, I mean, even like our kids that have an IEP or 504, even undiagnosed students too, it was a really hard challenge with a few of my students. The parents messaging, I don't know what to do. I don't know how you do this in the classroom. Like they just got so worried for their child and you know, asking me, okay, how did you do this? I need your routine. What did you do at this time, just to help their child who had like symptom issues or social issues. So because it does affect them. And now that they were home all the time out of their norm, it really got to them.
Yeah, I think we're affected even on like a level. You know, Jen and I, you know, we're both social butterflies, and you know, I'm a hugger, and so not being able to hug people is really, really helpful. It's almost like it ends me in a sense, you know, where I can't, you know, hug someone. It's definitely affecting me personally. So I know that the kids have to be affected as well through that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's hard for them to fully grasp it too.
Mm-hmm.
Understand it. So Hillsborough County did a survey. I'm sure Osceola probably did something similar, but they asked parents if they were comfortable sending their kids back to school. And from my understanding, they also asked the staff. And both results were right at around 50-50 apiece. So it was kind of right split down the middle. What was your answers to that question and why? Ariana, Kelly.
I mean, we got a survey. We did get asked what we preferred. And number one is safety for sure. But I'm also, me personally, I honestly, I did choose the brick and mortar. Only because knowing the kids that aren't going to have that choice and didn't succeed in e-learning, they need someone in their corner. Mm-hmm. So I personally want to go back to help the children that need it the most, and those mostly are the kids that need the most, that are well below grade level, that didn't go, for me anyways, that didn't participate in e-learning online. Mm-hmm. They still at first grade, having in 2 years, they couldn't even write their name. So let alone know the letters there. So yeah, e-learning was very difficult for them, but then there's those kids that they don't have a choice. They have to go somewhere. And I'm sad too. Like like I said, my kid's starting VPK, but I didn't even get that option to choose how I wanted my child to do VPK. I don't even know what's going on with VPK, honestly. But as we're getting closer, the thought of my son starting his school career with a mask and a shield over his face kind of just breaks my heart. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's a social butterfly. Like, he's a lover. He's a lover.
Aww. Well, Osceola County, my opinion, sent their survey out way too early, because they sent it at the end of May. And when it first came out, they had 91% at brick and mortar. Since my school particular, I'll give you some numbers because I called and I asked, We have 780 kids at our school. And at first we were at 90%, then we were at 60%. Now we're a little bit more digital. We have just under 300 doing face-to-face, 350 doing digital learning, and 60 students who have not responded via phone calls because they either move or their phone numbers are disconnected. Knowing what I know and having the parents, my parents, I chose digital, but I had a hard time with that. Kelly, I'm like you. Those kids need me. And I told my principal, they need me. But is risking my life right now and safety for 20 children? My kids need me at home too. My husband needs me. My parents need me. So it was a hard decision for me. So we don't know if we're going to get it or what's going to happen.
I think because when I took the survey, I did choose e-learning, like the virtual. I didn't want to completely split from my school or my county and do Hillsborough virtual or Florida virtual. So I said the best choice, I guess the safest choice for anybody involved was e-learning. And
exactly.
Kids are resilient and we're good at our jobs. So we'll get them where they need to be when they're with us eventually in the classroom.
Exactly.
But to risk that safety of a child, I couldn't reconcile when they were saying, what's an acceptable loss? 0.02%. If you did the math, that's quite a few children within Florida or the United States. And for me, like thinking of all the students I've had in the past and all the students I'll have in the future, I couldn't justify going back to the classroom if one of them died.
Exactly. That 0.2%, let's just say it's like 2 to 4 kids in your school. I just can't imagine which 2 to 4 kids would, that's the thing. My daughter did a pros and cons of going back to school. I couldn't even fathom, that even being in there. I agree.
Kids that we're talking about, we're not talking about somebody who's lived their life. We're not talking about at 85 and up, we might lose 0.02. Well, that's going to happen anyways. Unfortunately, these are our kids, and one kid, in my opinion, is too much.
Yes, I agree.
That could be one of our kids. So
I feel like it is a conversation that has to be had. But when our county is like, well, if we only do e-learning, we're going to lose millions of dollars. How much money is a child's life worth?
Yeah, that's a problem. When they put money before students, that's where we all have issues.
Yeah, I just think it was just in general, that it was just a hard thing to sit.
Oh, for sure.
I know I did brick and mortar too, but there were so many factors that went into play. Some of my good teacher friends are elder, and I rather have them be chosen to do the e-learning than myself when I can, you know what I mean?
It's a good perspective. It's a good perspective that you lend, because it's such a hard choice on both sides, on both sides. Going the next new year, what expectations do you have for students and parents? Like, how do you want them to adapt, and what kind of expectations do you have for them as far as, getting through this next, 6 months? Because listen, this is not going to be a forever thing, right? We watch the news, there's going to be a vaccine. So knowing that, what do you expect from them?
I think that we all, just like in March when we had to adapt, I think that's pretty much it. Adapt, have patience, and just be present, I guess, and be willing to do the work, because sometimes you get overwhelmed with your job and it comes secondary, but you don't have to be a superstar teacher in order to help your child learn if you're doing it from home. Just be there. And to be honest, like I said, the isolation and the psychology and all of that goes into it, as long as you're treating, like you're doing social things with your child and they're emotionally okay, The gains will come later for academics. Like having that social emotional and being there for your child is more important than what I'm assigning in class. And that's why I always had like a social studies focus for SEL. And I was like, if you're going to do anything, like reading and writing are very important, and so is math. But since they're 5, make sure that they're okay. Make sure that they're emotionally okay with everything that's going on. So I would give lessons on that just to make sure that, you know, the kids were doing fine, because they, like you said, psychologically, it can be damaging. So, you know, if you're going to do your ABCs, do your ABCs, but, you know, check on them emotionally as well.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it.
I didn't know if Melissa answered.
I just
Fundraising.
day by day,
Take it day by day.
day by day. Start over every new day. It's the only thing we can do.
We'll get through it together, right?
Do you guys know fundraising is important for schools? You know, I know parents hate doing them, but it's just kind of one of the things that, you know, it's almost a necessity. So do you guys have any idea what's, you know, is that any fundraising still going to take place this year? Are we going to have things like the Great American Teach-In still? Book fairs?
I don't see, I mean, virtual, they can make them virtual fundraisers. Everybody's pretty much
Online now.
some part of online. So I feel like virtual fundraisers will probably be a thing. Maybe virtually they can do Great American Teach-In, like Skype kind of thing, where they have them talk to the kids, but I don't see having a lot of people on campus.
They're not going to have anybody on campus. The parents can't even come into the school to check their kids out. They have to sit in the parking lot.
I
I
don't
don't know. It's so funny because every school's different, because I hear I'm getting asked who can foster a grandparent tutor in your classroom. And I'm like, what? I thought people aren't allowed to come in now. So
it's different. School site to school
yes,
site.
yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, we should all be the same when it comes to the cleaning and the rules. That way, if we're going county to county and the kids have to move, they're getting the same thing and they don't have to learn the same thing all over again.
That's true. That happens a lot.
Coming from different states and coming back here, and I'm like, what's going on, Florida?
Yeah. Florida, California, and Texas are having major issues. We need to get it together.
I'm going to California. They're a little bit more together than here, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, California's going all virtual.
Yes, California. My friends in California have posted. My friends in Colorado have posted. Pretty much the first 9 weeks is e-learning in those 2 states.
And you know
And
what?
they're not even at the center.
Nope.
Oh, interesting. Hey, we can't even have the Republican National Convention here because he won't come.
Well, so let's talk about what you guys need from the community and how we can help. So what can we do? What can the community do? Because this is going to be, you know, sent out to YouTube. This is going to be sent out to Facebook, and we really want to draw in people that we can have helping you. So what do you think you need?
I think for the younger ones, for me especially, teach them to be a little bit more independent, because you do have kids who come in and can't tie their shoes, or like, and I understand some of it's developmental. They don't have the fine motor skills yet. Like they just haven't developed that grip strength or something, or they're not as coordinated. But instead of getting shoes that have laces, maybe Velcro shoes is a simple fix, because then nobody has to really touch the shoelaces that have been on the ground. Teach them how to open all of their packages that they're going to be eating at lunch, because a lot of times, like they have to raise their hand because they don't know how to open their milk. They have to raise their hand because they can't open their chips because they just were never taught how to do it. And it's just something that you don't really think about. You're like, oh, I do have to teach them how to do it because they don't know how. So just more independence. I know for me, myself, like getting those kids, and send in Lysol spray if you have.
I was like, I was thinking hand sanitizer would be great. Disposable ones would be awesome. Lysol spray. You know, just walk through. It's just a mister, I promise. It smells fantastic.
I do, and I think the parents should, and everybody listening should try and teach the kids patience, because we are all in this. We are all learning. We don't know where we're getting back into once school starts. Everything is still up in the air, and there's a lot of unanswered questions. So having patience and allowing everyone to learn, because we are learning ourselves with everything that's going on.
So it sounds to me just a lot of patience and working together, because I mean we're all in this together at the end of the day.
Yep.
Well, we're coming up on our time, so I just have one final question. What do you ladies plan to do to try to keep this year as fun as possible for your students?
Yes.
I've tried to wrap my head around what kindergarten is going to look like with kids 6 feet apart max, and like maybe a middle hat that like is a social distancing, something that they can wear that's fun, where they take it off and they put on a hat that has their lunch number on it for lunch, so they can I did talk to my friend, and she had mentioned just like making something simple like Play-Doh, something that is individually theirs every month, and just foam on the desks, things that are going to keep them engaged. I hope for what they're at school for 6 hours a day.
Yeah, I loved your idea of walking down the hallway. Okay, hold your beach ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys.
I love that.
That's a good idea.
Invisible ball.
I think for me with the older kids, we started gardening with them. I think I'm going to try the gardening and do a lot more activities out if we were allowed to go outside and get them fresh air, because staying in a classroom for 7 hours a day and with essentials and stuff coming in, it's going to be very difficult for them.
Yeah.
I'm glad I have a window in my classroom.
We have windows on the second floor, but still.
Yeah, gotta move around.
Yes.
Well, we greatly appreciate you ladies being here and taking the time and talking to us. It was amazing hearing your point of views and learning what we can expect this school year.
Thank you.
Thanks
to leave us with.
Thank you.
Thanks for being authentic. That's for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Ladies, it was a pleasure meeting you.
And best of luck to you all this year.
Yes.
Thank you. We need it.
You got our best wishes. Have a great one. Have a good weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye. Wow. To be a teacher these days, I'm sure is not easy.
That was an incredible comment, and my heart just goes out to all of the teachers out there and all of the principals, all of the school officials, there's everybody, teachers, parents, students, everybody that's involved this next new school year. Prayers to you. Thank you so much for everything you do. And just know that there's a community behind you. There's people to lean on. Just know that you can reach out at any time, for sure.
Yeah, we'd love to support. I mean, I'm sure, you know, they were elementary school teachers, and I remember my kids being in elementary school. I couldn't imagine going through what we're going through right now with young kids. So it's not easy for the parents either. So it's just something that, like I said before, we're all in this together, and I'll be curious to see. Maybe we should do a recap after the first 9 weeks and see what happens.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Well, we appreciate everybody watching today. Hope you
Yes.
were able to get something from this. If you guys have any topics or ideas for a future show, please reach out to us. Our emails are on the screen, and we hope you have a fabulous weekend.
Have a great weekend, guys. Be kind. Bye.